WWE has a new official company name, and we tell you everything you need to know about today's huge AEW announcement. And just before we get into the stories themselves, stay tuned to the channel for a very exciting new video surrounding the introduction of AEW Collision and a potential feud between the Elite, CM Punk, and FTR, as I lay out my plan for All Elite Wrestling going forward. I don't quite know what the title will be just yet, but keep an eye out for this thumbnail popping up on your feed, and make sure you have your notifications on as you won't want to miss it. I'll also add it to the description and pinned comment of this video once it's released, just in case you're here in the future. But first, we have an update on the ongoing legal battle between All Elite Wrestling and Composite Effects. This after Composite would file a lawsuit against both AEW and Austin Mattelson, better known as Luchasaurus, with them claiming that they were using a copyrighted mask design for merchandising purposes without the permission of the designer. Whilst the mask designer had given permission to the wrestler to use the mask for wrestling purposes, there was no merchandising agreement in place. This before Composite reportedly offered an alternative design with all the relevant permissions, an offer that was turned down due to the older design being too iconic. In March 2023, AEW would move to dismiss 5 of the 6 counts raised against them, a situation that we now have an update on via Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, and he would take to Twitter to say, "The judge in the Luchasaurus mask lawsuit today ruled to deny Austin Mattelson, Luchasaurus, and AEW's motion to dismiss. Composite Effects' allegations of violation of copyright, LUPTA, and breach of contract all survive. Ultimately, this comes down to whether CFX's copyrighted Viper Silicon mask is substantially similar enough to the modified version AEW is merchandising. The judge is unconvinced that they are dissimilar enough to dismiss." Luchasaurus would recently go on hiatus from television in December, which was seemingly linked to the new lawsuit that was filed that same month, although he would return to AEW Dynamite in early April. We now wait to find out how the suit progresses from this point on, with AEW likely now having to fight their case in a court of law. The WWE draft would recently shake up the Raw and SmackDown rosters, with some names switching from red to blue and vice versa, as well as some call-ups from NXT adding freshness to both shows. Well, we now have some interesting news on who WWE view as their top heels and faces, this after an internal roster was leaked from within. According to a fresh report from PW Insider Elite, the internal listing names Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle, Shinsuke Nakamura, Johnny Gargano, Dexter Lumis, Akira Tozawa, Apollo Crews, and Odyssey Jones, seemingly in that order, as the top babyfaces on the Raw brand. Gunther was then named as the top heel on the show, this followed by The Miz, Bronson Reed, JD McDonough, and Riddick Moss. This news follows a similar report from a few days ago that listed how WWE views its SmackDown roster, with Edge, Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, Sheamus, Rey Mysterio, and Santos Escobar down internally as the top babyfaces on the blue brand, whilst Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Austin Theory, Karrion Kross, LA Knight, and Grayson Waller were said to be the top heels. And speaking of top talent in WWE, the tribal chief Roman Reigns has been the sole world champion in WWE ever since he merged the WWE and Universal Championships, becoming the undisputed WWE Universal Champion at WrestleMania 38. However, with the recent introduction of a new WWE World Heavyweight title that is set to be the top belt on the Raw brand, questions have been raised by fans on what the future holds for the 2 titles held by Reigns, and if they are set to be merged into one single strap. Well, in an update coming from the official WWE website, it appears that the company have taken one step closer to making this a reality, as the undisputed Universal Championship now takes up just 1 slot in the list of champions as opposed to 2, with this seemingly confirming that it will now be classed as a single title of its own rather than 2 separate championships. The same treatment has occurred with the undisputed Tag Team Championships, currently held by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, perhaps a sign that SmackDown will soon introduce new belts of their own. On August 27th, All Elite Wrestling are heading to the United Kingdom for the first time ever, with the All In London event set to go down inside Wembley Stadium. Luckily for wrestling fans across the pond, AEW aren't the only major American wrestling company scheduled to hold a big event there, with WWE Money in the Bank also coming to London from the O2 Arena on July 1st. Well, it looks like WWE are upping the ante on their trip to the UK, as today they would send out a press release that confirmed that undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns will be at Money in the Bank, as well as at the SmackDown the night prior, and the release reads, WWE today announced that undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns will appear live at the O2 in London for SmackDown on Friday, June 30 and Money in the Bank on Saturday, July 1, 2023. This marks the first time ever that SmackDown will broadcast live and in prime time from the UK at 8 PM local on BT Sport. Money in the Bank marks the first WWE Premium live event to be held in London in over 2 decades. This of course means that Roman will be returning to WWE sometime before now and July, with the undisputed champion currently away from television having not been seen in a number of weeks. In April, UFC's parent company, the Endeavor Group, would announce that they had agreed terms on the purchase of WWE, with them confirming that they would be merging the wrestling company with their MMA giant in order to form one single entity. CNBC would speak with a spokesperson from Endeavor this week, where they were able to confirm the name of this new company, which is said to be valued at more than $20 billion. And the report notes, World Wrestling Entertainment and Endeavor's UFC announced last month they would later merge this year. Now we know the name of the combined company. The new operation will be called TKO Group Holdings, a spokesperson for Endeavor confirmed Tuesday. As previously announced, it will trade on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker TKO. The name is in reference to the professional fighting term technical knockout. WWE and Endeavor did recently send out an SEC filing using the name New Whale Inc., although the recent news confirms that this was simply a placeholder, with TKO Group Holdings being the official term for the merger. Today, Warner Bros. Discovery and All Elite Wrestling would make a huge announcement at the Warner Upfronts, confirming reports of a brand new live Saturday night show named AEW Collision, which is set to be spearheaded by the returning CM Punk. At the Upfronts, designed to show upcoming Warner properties to potential advertisers, AEW Collision would finally be officially announced, this after weeks of reports concerning the new show. The announcement would then be followed by an official press release which read, "In only 4 years following the launch of AEW Dynamite, AEW's footprint has more than doubled across TNT and TBS. Along with AEW Dynamite, Friday night's AEW Rampage, the recent Follow Doc AEW All Access, and now AEW Collision, TNT and TBS deliver the best matches and most entertaining moments in professional wrestling today. AEW has reached 23 million total viewers so far this year across all of its shows on TBS and TNT. Collision will deliver live every Saturday night more of what fans and viewers tell us they want: athleticism, big personalities, exciting storylines, and hard-hitting wrestling action, all of which have become synonymous with AEW. Jason Solanis, president of Turner Networks ID and HL Linear and Streaming, would add, "We're doubling down on wrestling with AEW Collision, which gives fans more than 2 hours every week. AEW's roster of talent has expanded so quickly that we felt it needed another night to bring our audience the epic rivalries, unforgettable matches, and stars they love to watch. Adding Collision to our programming mix will allow to satisfy the massive demand we've felt from our hardcore fanbase and be the ultimate complement to AEW Dynamite on TBS." AEW President Tony Khan would also be quoted as saying, "With the addition of AEW Collision on TNT, I'm extremely proud that the Turner Network will be the home of Saturday Night Wrestling for the first time in more than 2 decades. The debut of Collision is significant across numerous sectors, including television, wrestling, entertainment, and sport, and reinforces AEW as the bold property we envisioned when we launched in 2019. The announcement was also accompanied by a brand new logo for AEW Collision, which is inspired by WCW Nitro, which aired on the same network in the 90s. It's worth noting that there was no venue announced for the first episode of AEW Collision on June 17th, although last week Tony Khan did tease a follow-up announcement for tonight's episode of Dynamite, which I get the feeling will be the news of the United Center show, which is reported to be named The Second Coming and the home of CM Punk's AEW return. Now that we know what was officially announced today, let's go to some extra details from Fightful Select, who have revealed what they know about the introduction of a new show and how this will affect the roster going forward. The report notes that not only is AEW Collision set to receive a big cash infusion from Warner, but they would say that the belief amongst talent is that a hard roster split is expected to be implemented across Collision and Dynamite, this contrary to recent reports of what was described as a soft split. Fightful would add that there will be an exception in place for many of the company's champions, as well as additional exceptions here and there. together. This will allow talent that don't get along to work shows without the likelihood of a conflict, much like we saw at AEW All Out 2022 between the Elite and CM Punk, as well as many other examples involving other talents in 2022. The report also revealed that several previously absent names will be coming back to television, something aided by the roster split. But again, be sure to check out my plans for AEW going forward and how they should deal with the divide between AEW Collision and AEW Dynamite as soon as it's released. Make sure you check the pinned comment.